Welcome to the October 6, 2015 Selectmen's Meeting. The first item on our agenda is a public hearing for a solely owned pole on Old Webster Road requested by National Grid. Want to come forward? I'll read into the record the notice. Under the provisions of the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 166, and any additions or amendments thereto, please be advised that at their meeting of Tuesday, October 6th, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall, second floor meeting room, 325 Main Street, Oxford, Mass., the Board of Selectmen will consider a request to give National Grid Incorporated permission to install one solely owned pole beginning at approximately 3,166 feet south of the center line of the intersection of Leonard Road to provide upgraded service at IPG Photonics. If you have any questions, you can contact the Selectmen's office at 508-987-6027. All right, and according to my notes, the DPW director has reviewed the request and he approves this request. So,
Hi, my
welcome.
name's Javier Morales. I'm here representing National Grid.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, I'd like to request the approval of a petition to install one solely owned pole at the location you mentioned to serve IPG Photonics. And I did work out the details with the DPW supervisor. We're gonna push the pole back so it's not affecting the water line.
All right.
We're also gonna build the grade back. The road falls off sharply at that point, so we're gonna have our contractor build up the grade a little so we can get in there with vehicles, access the pole.
Great. Any comments or questions by the board? No? Then I'll entertain a motion to grant this request.
Make a motion that we grant the request for the pole.
Second?
It's been moved and second. No comments. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. Let it be shown. 3 in the affirmative, 2 absent. You're all set?
Also, thanks.
Great. Thank you. Look at that. Right on time almost, huh? Our next item on the agenda is school department update by Superintendent Mark Garcia. If you want to come forward, and Sam, you want to come? No? If you want, you
Extra
can
seat.
come right up and sit down. What the heck? You never know. You may have a couple of comments that
Thank you, Mr. Lamarche.
you're most welcome.
Kind of hoping
Thanks.
that the Frenchman would get it right, though. It's Garceau.
Oh, see.
Touche.
But thank you.
What can I say? That's why they call me Lamachi.
Gentlemen, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. I think you'll recall that it was about a year ago that I first came before the Board of Selectmen in order to introduce myself and at that time to discuss the findings of the Oxford Public Schools District Review, which had been completed in 2013, but which frankly hadn't been discussed publicly until that point. So we talked about that report and my transition into the district. I come before you tonight in an effort to both inform you and the larger community the progress made over the last 14 months, as well as the challenges that the school and the community face. Since July of 2014, the district has addressed virtually all of the recommendations contained in the district review issued by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed. Again, that was issued at the end of 2013. Those recommendations included clarifying and communicating the vision for the district, developing clear goals for improvement efforts, and the plans for achieving them. And I can tell you that the district has developed a new accelerated improvement plan, and all of our schools have in place individual improvement plans that tightly align with that plan and which reflect our shared vision. That's a vision shared by teachers, parents, and the larger community, a vision based on the need to strengthen instruction and supports for all students, improve educator effectiveness, and maximize all available resources by being as efficient and as effective as we can possibly be. Another recommendation was assigning a high priority to successfully implementing the state's educator evaluation system in support of ensuring that we have highly effective teachers in every classroom and excellent leaders, principals in every building. Another was ensuring that central administration has the authority to observe in classrooms, monitor curricular implementation, as well as direct curriculum development and revision. We were also directed to put in place a plan for developing and implementing high quality and rigorous curriculum. Committing to and communicating a set of common, effective, research-based instructional practices across the district has taken place. Providing broad access to assessment data by giving all teachers easy access to and teaching them how to interpret data and how to use it to inform instructional decision-making. Cleaning up our hiring protocols and policies to ensure consistency, manage risk related to employment issues, and to ensure that we're bringing in people of the highest quality that can help us continue to improve. And finally, increasing transparency with regards to our budget practices. Our budgets have never been more readily accessible, readily available. The process has never been more transparent, quite frankly. And also we have pursued identifying and exploiting opportunities to consolidate resources where possible with the town. Additionally, we've put excellent leaders in place at all schools, leaders who are committed to improving outcomes for all students and who seek to engage families and community partners in their improvement efforts. We have examined throughout the budget season countless times every revenue source and expenditure in our budget and considered very carefully how each decision we make impacts student learning and school safety. We have, with large thanks due to the voters of Oxford, upgraded our instructional technology in all schools, putting computers, tablets, and other 21st century learning tools into the hands of our students and their teachers. We've expanded our communication efforts with the community through the use of Twitter, Facebook, and other social media tools. I myself have also made myself available monthly to meet with parents and constituents by holding listening tour sessions throughout the town each month. We have even re-energized our athletics programming and are seeing the biggest crowds for Friday night football that we have seen in years. We have done all this work and more, and we are seeing significant results. Our students have shown marked improvement on the most recent MCAS tests, as well as increases in SAT and ACT scores. We saw last spring an increase of 154% in the number of students at Oxford High School earning college credit-bearing qualifying scores on the advanced placement exams. And we applauded our students being accepted to many of the country's very best colleges and universities in June. We have expanded our AP offerings again this year, enrolled more students in AP, honors, and other high-level courses, and raised the academic expectations for all students. There is no doubt that the Oxford Public Schools are on track to show quick and dramatic improvement. Now, with that said, I'm not one that goes for drama or exaggeration or Chicken Little type doomsday, the sky is falling histrionics. I don't play those kind of games. There are those who use those tactics and think that they are successful, that they are a strategy, and then sometimes they are. But in my experience, when they are, it is always for the very short term, and then we do the same routine again the very next year. I do not make crazy threats about slashing programs or wiping out sports, music, and other popular courses. I don't point fingers, yell, and actively seek to engage in turf wars. Instead, I do the best I can to deal in facts alone and to take reasonable, rational, and professional approaches to working with my colleagues, my superiors, and the town's leadership for the betterment of our schools and the larger community. And with that said, I feel I must put us all on notice that without adequate financial support from the state and the town, the improvements that the district is seeing are not sustainable. They just are not. We cannot continue to do more with increasingly less. We have worked incredibly hard to get our financials as clean and as transparent as they can possibly be. We have consolidated positions and functions, including the sharing of the town's accountant, who is currently also our business manager, and more recently the sharing of our HR director with the town. We have eliminated other administrative positions, including the curriculum and Title I director. That work now falls to me and my remaining staff. We have cut back on transportation costs by eliminating one bus this year and expanding walk zones for students, causing great concern for safety by some parents, some of whom I'm sure you've heard from. We have closed classrooms at every grade level from kindergarten through 4, resulting in class sizes going from averages in the low 20s last year to those approaching 30. We have had to lay off more than a dozen teacher assistants and instructional aides, leaving teachers in larger classrooms without the support that they previously had. We have cut 5 custodial positions this year, from 12 down to 7, to maintain and clean all of our buildings. While the town may be outsourcing custodial services, we have kept our people, but we now have far fewer of them. We've cut back on secretarial support at our schools. We are currently so tight on staffing that principals are now raising concerns about student and staff safety. No one in the district, not a teacher, not an administrator, lunch worker, or the superintendent received a pay increase this past year. I can say in all honesty that we have lost staff this fall to other districts because we frankly cannot pay the salaries that an Auburn does. In short, we have scrutinized, consolidated, and cut to the bone. We will next be cutting into marrow. There's nothing left to cut that will not directly and negatively impact students. There will no doubt throughout this year be continuing discussions regarding the use of the unrestricted general government aid funds and the town's ability or willingness to fund local public education. But I have said it before, and I feel that I need to continue to say it. I believe firmly that the town and the schools have reached a point at which we have to acknowledge that current revenue streams are insufficient to meet the needs of the community. That some relief, either from a restructuring of our funding formulas or an override vote in either the spring or fall of 2016, is going to be required. As I see it at this point, the town really only has 3 choices available to it with respect to the schools. Increase the level of local contribution beyond the legally required minimum contribution. Pursue a Proposition 2.5 override in order to generate enough revenue to adequately fund education in the town's other departments. Or 3, watch the dismantling of the district and the stripping away of those things we say we value. Then we can become like Douglas, Sutton, and other of our neighbors who have or will soon find themselves in the position of gutting their schools. Again, my saying this tonight isn't about creating drama or playing any kind of game. Without an adequate flow of resources to the schools over the next 2 to 3 years, you will see a dismantling of many of the things that are making our district a success story, just as we are really getting on our feet, just as we are really on our way up. You will see us go the route of our neighbors, as we are left with no choice but to cut programs, limit opportunities, and deliver an absolutely bare bones education to our children. Again, there has been marked improvement, but we cannot continue this way much longer. I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Mark. I'm gonna kind of start a little bit here. I feel your pain. It's been an issue that this town has been dealing with for the time I've been on this board. I mean, we've cut in the town end of it as much as we can also. I don't really know what to say to you. You know, we're trying on our end. We gave that proposal of possibly doing something with the custodial services like we have. It saved our town money. That's an issue you people have to deal with still. Could save you money there.
If I may, Mr.
Sure,
Chairman.
sure.
We are in the middle of a contract with our custodians, and we are bound by that contract and cannot do anything with that currently.
Right, I know, but in the
And
future,
We did make those reductions. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yep.
But we did cut our custodial staff nearly in half this year.
right. But,
Which
you know,
was-
with the by going the private route, you could possibly save, and I know it's an issue with the custodians, but from what I understand on our end is that a lot of your custodial staff could get jobs with them and be working with them.
That would be
So,
our hope.
you know, and that's, you know, the business manager, using our accountant, you know, she's out straight. I know she's helped you quite a bit. She's straightened out a lot of things. We found out a lot of things. You know, that's a cost savings. I know you've cut staff. I understand. And I don't see anything coming from the town. I don't know where the town can give any more. I know the yeah, UGA funds. You know, again, we're down to bare bones too, so we're trying to make ends meet there. An override, good luck with that. I don't know, that's gonna be a hard bullet for the taxpayers. That's, you know, I understand, that's a taxpayer thing, and, you know, bring it on, see what they say. It'd be nice if the state would have stepped up to the plate. I think, you know I've heard Brenda for years talking about, you know, the way they structure their formulas and stuff. It just isn't working, and I think that's where it has to really start. Yes, Sam.
If I may, we have engaged with our local delegation. Representative McKenna came before the school committee at one of our recent meetings. We publicly, at the meeting, shared with him our frustrations and our concerns. Senator Fatman was not able to come to that meeting. However, Dr. Garceau, one of our other committee members, Mrs. Griffin, and me met with him, and we went over all the same things that we ended up going over with Representative McKenna at night. That night, the fact of the matter is that the state is not going to move. They're not going to change this. This formula has been broken for years. And what it's doing is it's pitting communities against each other. Even the way in which districts are rated amongst each other, there is no way that every district in the Commonwealth could be a level 1 district, because they're pitting them against each other and ranking them. Other states, I believe Rhode Island is an example, if you fall within a certain criteria, if your district meets all of those said criteria, you're a level 1 or whatever the equivalent is in Rhode Island. There's not this pitting districts against each other that exists in Massachusetts. Several of our neighboring communities have felt this and have gone for overrides, some successful, some not. I believe our closest neighbor that has recently been successful was Dudley. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but we're hoping that we will continue to explore this. You know that in May, we were successful at the polls, and thank you to the voters of Oxford for supporting us with the, and I always get the term wrong, I want to say capital outlay, I don't know if it's a capital exclusion, but at any rate, it was a one-time increase to the taxes. And what we're hoping to do is structure an override in such a way that it would effectively be a similar amount to what the folks in Oxford are already paying. So it's not like we would be trying to dig deeper into their pockets. Senator Fatman had also given us some ideas about, you know, a school stabilization fund that could be structured within the override, and I'm waiting for some information from him on that. I believe it does require an act of the legislature to do so. But we are actively investigating all of these things, and we understand the town's position, and the town has been very kind to the schools over the past several years in giving us 100% of those UGA funds. It's unfortunate the timing in which the town has realized that they really need to pull those back, because what that did was, at a time in which we finally had a really strong instructional leader, a superintendent that really could be in the classrooms and mentoring teachers, as soon as that happened, that's when this pushback or pullback of some of those funds occurred. And just as Dr. Garceau was able to gain some momentum, he spent an inordinate amount of time trying to, balance reduced budgets. So we're hoping, and I have seen some numbers as a proposal, but what I'm hoping for is that the town can stick with us another year. We really can't sustain another cut to our funding, and hopefully between, if we're able to be successful with an override and maintain at least level funding of where we are, that will help us get ahead and provide our kids with the education that they deserve. My daughter's second grade class has nearly 30 students in it, and same thing at all of our elementary levels. Try being, some days it's difficult for me to be in a room with my 3 kids running around yelling at the same time. I can't imagine a teacher in a room by herself trying to engage up to 30 students on very rigorous material that is the foundation of their educational career. Once they, if they fall behind in 2nd grade, they're gonna be behind in 3rd grade, and it's gonna be a constant cycle and it's gonna be that much more difficult for these kids to catch up. We really have an obligation to to do everything we can to educate our children, and I understand and appreciate the position that you gentlemen are in. I wouldn't wanna be in your position of balancing the entire town's budget. Quite frankly, it's been difficult enough working on the school budget, so we just wanted to share with you some of our concerns as we move forward.
Good point. And as you're talking, though, one thing that I think on the state level that bugs the heck out of me is school choice. I think that is killing us. Whoever come up with that brainchild is definitely not involved in education, because I look at it that the town gives the best education they can get. If I decide that, gee, I don't like this town, I'm going to go, then I should pay for that. That's my personal opinion. I think school choice has really crippled the school systems, because, you're paying for kids to go to some other school, and that to me isn't right.
And we can certainly try to bring kids into Oxford. We did open up choice as the committee. We did vote to open up choice. What choice can help to bring funds into the district is by filling seats that are empty in classrooms already. The amount of money that we receive as a district to educate a choice student, quite frankly, doesn't pay for that child's education. It's insufficient. Right. But if there's already, if there's 3 empty seats in that classroom, then it might make sense to bring them in and augment,
and that's good on the receiving end, but on the giving end, it's killing us.
Right,
Kills us.
in all honesty, we've had students choose in to Oxford this year from Douglas and surrounding communities because they've wiped out all their programs.
Yeah.
I've got kids coming into Oxford High School who want top flight courses, but also want to play baseball, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So it cuts both ways.
Board members?
Well, I appreciate you 2 gentlemen coming in tonight. I know that, you both have the town's best interests at heart here. I can see the passion in your faces. I've been watching the school committee meetings. Mr. Matar, you've been doing, I think, a great job as the new chairman. Certainly the tone has changed quite a bit, a little more, I'd say, professional. But I do appreciate you guys coming in. As far as the school choice things, I had this conversation with Mr. Garceau some time ago. I can't understand how they lay this thing out. I understand that we have, say, Town of Auburn, for instance. They're our next door neighbor. We all know that Town of Auburn has significantly more revenue to deal with than we do, and in turn can and does give the school district quite a bit of more money than we are able to do, because we don't have those revenues. And at the same time, what it's doing to us and other towns is taking our students. They have more money, they have more offerings, they have more sports. So it's kind of a strange way of going about it to say that you can choice out to this town because they have classes that we don't, because we don't have the revenue, in turn take additional revenues away from us. So I don't.
Making it worse. It just makes it worse.
I think the state from the I don't really so much mind school choice to a certain degree, because I do believe it's good to have some competition. But the problem is where we have inequality in funding. It's not an exact science. It's a poor way of doing it. And I haven't run into one of our representatives in quite some time. But I'd like to, I think that's the biggest problem I have with school choice. Just the way it's put together. It doesn't make any sense. Take away from those who need more, and that's what they're doing. How many students do we lose to school choice, roughly?
We have about 70 out this year.
So we have about 70 out, and in turn they're taking, what are they taking?
100 or so,
7,500?
something.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
big chunk of change.
yeah, that's what, $490,000?
In addition to the
roughly?
school choice, we also lose students to charter.
That charter, yeah.
And we had the conversations about the vocational school last year too. We're gonna fill those seats. We're gonna have kids that are gonna go there and they should. But
That's a
and
horse
these
of a
is
different
lacking.
color, though, you know what I mean?
it is to a degree. But we never have the opportunity to pick and choose who comes to our school. We educate everybody that comes.
Right,
And
absolutely.
that's what we have to do. But you're absolutely right. The idea that, in Auburn next door, if we had a mall, and had that kind of revenue, they can offer, courses and music programs and athletics and theater and those kinds of things that we just can't. And we have students who just will go there.
Absolutely, and I look at the programs that really keep students interested in those, your arts and your music and your sports. I understand that a school is for education. That's the primary goal. If there's no money for education is before all those activities, but there again, it gives a lot of those kids something to look forward to, a reason to go to school other than get an education. So, I understand completely where you're coming from. It's very difficult. We've had numerous discussions with the town manager. He's up against it because of past practices and poor budgeting in the past. Now, as a municipality, we're behind the 8 ball now, so we're like doing a little bit of a balancing act. I think with this year, how are we splitting the UGA funds this year,
The,
fiscal year 2016?
for 16, the proposal was to split it equally in half, or to get to that point over time. The
But
goal,
for the-
the goal would
is
be
it
to share it 50/50.
50/50. And that would be to bring our reserves back up to where they need to be and to handle some capital improvements that we've been lagging on for many years. So it is difficult. I know the business manager, we were sharing that resource for some time. I know that there's been some pushback from some of the school committee members are thinking that maybe that's not a good idea as far as sharing a business manager. I know that probably saves us about, it's
At
about
least-
100, gotta be
at least.
$125,000 with benefits.
If I may, the committee as a whole, and quite frankly, as a school committee, none of us have any authority, just, I believe, similar to the Board of Selectmen. We act as a body, and as a body, we voted to approve that. Individual members may have expressed concerns, but the committee as a whole is committed to exploring that and continuing that consolidation. As a best practice, we've been told, both from folks from the Mass Association of School Committees, but also folks in municipal finance, that it's not a best practice, because municipal finances and school finances are markedly different. There are different laws. We've run into some situations where Mrs. Folio has been under the impression that we couldn't do something, and then she had to go back and research it and say, oh, I guess you can on the school side.
Yeah.
So, and quite frankly, I think that it's only a matter of time before she gets burnt out. We are extremely appreciative of the town's willingness to share that resource with us, because quite frankly, if that didn't happen, then you're talking about probably 2 to 3 more classroom teachers that we would have had to lay off in order to make up that position. So we are very much happy with the current configuration of that consolidation, and as a committee, we have signed a memorandum of understanding that we're open to exploring other areas of consolidation. Quite frankly, anything that we can do to put another teacher in the classroom, I think it's worth exploring. And I don't have the history on the committee that some of my colleagues do, but quite frankly, the fiscal position that we're in, my priority is to get people in front of these students in the classroom, not to fill administrative positions. So it would be nice at some point in the future, if the state were to increase our funding, if we could separate that and have an independent person to do both, an independent person filled in each position, because I don't think it's sustainable in the long term. I think Donna's doing more than her fair share, and it's only a matter of time. So, but as a committee, we are committed to these things.
Excellent. And I know that, you know, in speaking with the manager, that you guys are looking together to consolidate and save wherever you can, and you guys are doing a, you know, good job in that regard. I thank you both for coming in. You know, Mr. Garso, continue to stay on the path you're on. You have had some major improvements in the short time that you've been here.
I have an excellent team.
Yeah, the dialogue has been open and honest. There's not the, I don't think there's a sense of maybe the abrasive relationship that maybe was there between the board and the superintendent at one time. I think this board generally feels much more comfortable with Mr. Garso there, and I really appreciate the hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selectman
Thank
Sack.
you. Well, I'm going to echo most of what my colleagues have said. I'm very impressed with the current administration. I think, Dr. Garceau, you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Sack.
And I sincerely believe that had you been there several years ago, that we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the problems that we have right now. And I think that's where it all starts. It started back with the previous administrations. And there was definitely a lack of communication between the administration and the school committee, the administration, school committee, and the manager's office, as well as the Board of Selectmen. There was just no coherency there at all. And as you know, and as the accountants have, or the auditors have expressed, there have been some inconsistencies, things that you didn't know about that was happening, that cost us a lot of money. And if we had that money today, we wouldn't be talking about this big hole, that black hole that we're in right now. And unfortunately, the timing just couldn't be worse. We're in a situation as a community, as a whole, that everything is so darn tight, we don't have that extra penny to squeeze out of that dollar. We just don't have it. I can sympathize with your position. I support the administration and the school committee in their efforts to want to better the system. But until there are improvements in the system and the people of the community have the confidence that was lost over the past number of years, close to a decade, I would say. You know, I've been here beyond that, and I remember and experienced the lack of communication and the holding back of certain information that was relative to us when we go to the town meeting to vote on the school budget. And now we're paying for it, and that's unfortunate. I support you going after whatever you can do to get the funding to support the system. I know that there have been questions about the business manager and whether or not we should continue working with the school with a joint position. I think it's worked out well. I think Donna and the school administration have done everything in their power to bring everything to light, to try to correct whatever problems have happened in the past. And I strongly support that we continue to do that for the foreseeable future. That's my personal opinion. However, I can understand the school committee's position on wanting to have their own manager, and I think you should. But this isn't the time to do it. You've got to win the confidence of this board, of the town manager, and of the residents of this community, that you can have a manager that can work with you, school committee, and the administration to have that openness that we're all looking for. And until you can achieve that, I think people are going to be questioning the school department as a whole. And that's unfortunate, because I see it, I see you really digging in your heels here to try to fix something that's been broken for a long time. And you know it's not going to be fixed overnight. But I just want to tell you, I appreciate what you're doing, and I would hope that the townspeople would get behind you in your effort to be honest and upfront with them, as well as this board and the town manager.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
really do.
Sad. If I may make a comment, though, we have, as the school committee, have not yet seen any audit report that suggests that funds were misspent or mismanaged. What we believe, and when we see the audit report, I'm fairly confident that it will show, is that there were maybe some best practices that hadn't taken place. But to my knowledge, there's been no indication that those practices led to an amount of funds that were, went missing or were spent unwisely. For the prior administrations, I can't speak to them because I joined the committee right before we hired Dr. Garceau, and it was out of frustration as a parent of of a child that newly entered the system, of the lack of clarity. There was no open door. I mean, as a person who had submitted nomination papers running for the school committee, I couldn't get a copy of the budget out of the former administration. And so, believe me, I understand the people's hesitation, but I can tell you that I don't believe that there was ever anything that was, we don't have any reason to believe that there was any willful misrepresentation, that funds were not managed adequately. We do believe that there are some practices that need to take place in the business office and in the school department to make sure that we're in a better position going forward. I mean, one of the audit finding that came out of the year end was that there were some timesheets that weren't adequately reviewed and approved. And that corrective action has taken place to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But that was the major finding out of the last audit report that we saw that was presented to us. So I just want to clarify. There's been a lot of misunderstanding about the school's finances, particularly even among the committee, and there's not any money missing. I just want to clarify that no money is missing. It's more management practices and accounting procedures that weren't being followed to the T, and Dr. Garceau with Donna Folio are making sure that those practices and procedures are going to be taking place going forward.
I don't think, and I didn't mean to mislead you, I didn't mean to say that there were any funds that were missing or
I just
whatever.
heard like black hole or something, and I just wanted to make sure people didn't
we
misunderstand.
are in a black hole right now, and so are you as a school
Oh,
department.
believe me, we are.
And, but I'm not suggesting that at all, because the final forensic audit hasn't been completed
Right.
yet. But there have been funds that were misused or put in other areas that probably shouldn't have, that would have streamlined and made things better economically for your department.
And I'm not
And
debating
I kind of
that.
believe that's what's gonna
Right.
come out in this report. I haven't seen it, I haven't talked to any of the auditors, but my gut feeling is that it's all mismanagement. That's my gut feeling.
I would tend to agree with you, and that was part of my reason for wanting to run for the position of a school committee member, because I wasn't confident with the management of the school district as I said, as a parent of a child who newly entered the district. So I thank you, for sharing your concerns with us. And if there's anything that you would like to see from the committee in terms of documentation or anything in terms of communications, please share that with me and or Dr. Garceau. We want to bridge that relationship. I know it hasn't been always the most positive relationship in the past. I wasn't on the committee, so I can't really speak to that. I know that there's some divide even amongst our committee as to, the town is separate from the schools. And I said, if you watched the last meeting, no, we're not. We're all the town of Oxford. We have one pot of money to share, and we need to work with the people on the municipal side, because we are a department of the town, and we need to make sure that we, do what's in the best interest of the town. I will say, as a school committee member, our obligation under Mass General Law is to ensure the quality of education for the children. It's a very conflicted role, because we don't answer to the children, we answer to the voters in Oxford. But under the law, that's where our fiduciary responsibility lies. So being a school committee member, we are kind of conflicted in that way, and we try to balance it. But I thank you all for your comments and understanding of the position that we're in.
Good luck.
Well, if I may just add, it really is refreshing, because I've been on this board now, I think I'm going into my 7th year, and in all those years, the only time I saw the superintendent at our meetings was budget time, when, hey, this is the money I want, and that was pretty much the way it was. This is what I want. To see you come in now twice within the past year and just talk with us, to me, this is refreshing. And if there's one thing that I would really like, a little bit of advice, is transparency. Because all I can ever remember is a few years ago at a town meeting, and the school committee got up in front of the town meeting and says, hey, we need $800,000 more. The question was, for what? You couldn't tell us. Well, if you can't tell me what the money is needed for, then why am I going to vote for it? You know, that was me as a board member on that stage thinking in my head that as a taxpayer, there's no way in heck, you know? So you gotta, you need it for what for? You gotta be transparent, and I think you guys are on the right track.
We will
so,
lay out
you know,
our budget, and it's posted on our website, on the oxps.org website.
Yep.
The full budget is posted on there. I will say that there's been some confusion in this town, because there was, I heard we couldn't publish the whole school budget in the town meeting booklet. Well, that's not really true. We can give you any numbers that you want, but the law states that the town meeting appropriates the dollar figure, not how it's spent. The school committee appropriates the line items of the budget.
Right.
But the town meeting has to appropriate the number.
Yep.
So we're certain, and I think that was part of the reason for the confusion, but if you want our whole line-by-line budget, printed in the booklets in May, just let Donna know,
Well,
and we'll do.
you know,
We want to be transparent.
Yeah, because every other department, I mean, if the DPW needs a truck, there it is. Okay, this is what we need, and the accountant needs this, there it is, So why can't the school committee kind of say, hey, that's what we need the money for, right there, okay?
And we do that, but it was never shared apparently, and that
Yeah.
practice will stop. We will share with you our full budget, and as we do with anybody who requests it
Right.
now.
And
Very
to Mr. Sad's point, the only way we earn the trust of the community is to continue to be transparent and to be
Right.
honest and keep the lines of communication open, and frankly, improve the results that we're getting in our schools. So
That's the
I can
key.
say with all honesty, we're doing everything we can on our end. But the time is gonna come very, very soon where there's nothing left in the cupboard. So again, I appreciate you
Thank you.
Understood.
having us here tonight in the conversation.
Well, thank you very much. With that, thank you again for coming.
Thank you,
Have a
gentlemen.
good evening.
Thanks. CCM, aren't you glad I had you come up? Look at you.
Aren't you
I
sorry
knew you were
you
gonna
asked
be.
me to come
No,
up?
I am not
I
at
was
all.
gonna sit back there and not say a word.
No,
You
no,
see,
no.
you get what you asked for.
Hey,
That's
hey,
what we
you gave
want.
us a lot of information. That's exactly it. All right, thanks, Sam. Thank you. Well, next item on the agenda is Selectmen's request, Town Manager's report. Town
Okay.
Manager.
Request the board vote to approve the meeting minutes and executive session minutes of July 15th, 2014. All members are present except for Selectman Vos. Pleasure of the board.
I'll entertain a motion. Selectman
I'll
Bose was
second
not
it.
there.
Yes.
I'll second. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Abstain.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. We have 2 yeses, 1 abstention, and 2 absent.
Okay, meeting minutes and executive session meeting minutes of September 16th, 2014. All members were present.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve those minutes.
Second.
It's moved and second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes, 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Thank you. Meeting minutes of September 17th, 2014. All present except for Selectman Berthium.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 17th.
Second.
It's moved and second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes, 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Thank you. Executive session meeting minutes of August 18th, 2015. All members are present.
I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 18th.
Second.
Moved and second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes, 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Okay, meeting minutes of September 1st, 2015. All members are present except for Selectman Sad.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 1st.
I'll second that. Call for the vote,
Yes.
Abstain?
and I'll say yes. Two in the affirmative, one abstention, and two absent. That passes.
Okay, you've got a request for a special pouring license at Claire Barton Camp for the date of Saturday, October 31st from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. The request is from Cassandra Hayden of Westfield, Mass. All beverages will be consumed on the premises. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion to approve that license.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
It's been moved and second. Comments? Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. Three in affirmative, two absent, passes.
Okay. Got a second request for a special pouring license also at Claire Barton Camp for October 10th, 2015 from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. from Christina Lees of Sudbury, Massachusetts.
Entertain a motion to approve that license.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
It's been moved and second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. Three in affirmative, two absent, it passes.
Okay, All Wheels Detailing and Auto Sales is requesting an administrative change to their Class 2 license. They would like to change their name to All Wheels Detailing and Auto Sales, Inc. They're located at 381 Main Street, and we're requesting that you authorize the administrative name change to the Class 2 license.
Entertain a motion.
John, we like that motion?
And the issuance of a new,
Oh, is it issuance of a new?
it's also, yeah,
Okay.
authorize a name change, and
Okay.
then we have to issue a new license to reflect it.
Thank
Yep.
you, Karen.
I would move it.
So it's been moved. I'll second it. Call for the vote.
Staying.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. So we will allow the change in the name and the issuance of a new license. Two in the affirmative, one abstention, two absent. It passes.
Okay, we have the option to exercise a right of first refusal for some land on Dana Road. There's two parcels that make up approximately, just under 4 acres. The purchase price is $355,000. Both the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission have reviewed the request and have recommended that we exercise our right. The purchase of the property would help address some important goals. However, the town has insufficient funding to follow through on exercising this right, and it's unlikely that sufficient funds could be raised within the 120-day right of first refusal period. So, I can't really recommend that we go forward. Pleasure of the board.
I'll entertain a motion to entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we don't exercise our right of first refusal on this, on these two lots.
That we don't.
But we do not, we do not exercise our right of first refusal.
Second the motion for discussion.
So moved. Go ahead.
I can understand where the Conservation Commission is coming from here, planning. We just don't have the money. It's unfortunate because these are situations where you would want to do it. And I just want to go on record saying that I would support it if we had the funding, but we don't have it, and we have no other alternative but to not exercise our right of first refusal.
I agree, and the problem is probably gonna end up with pieces of property up there, so, which is good for a developer, I guess, but not good for our school system with possibly increasing number of kids, but maybe good on a little hand for some more taxes, but
I mean, what, if I may, I know John has the floor. How much frontage are we talking about here? Because we're, as far as land, it's not a heck of a lot of land. It's,
It's a little over 4 acres, I
yeah,
guess.
so you're gonna build, in that area, that's probably R1, so you're looking at, how many houses you're really looking at? You're looking at, you need 2 acres, so you're looking at maybe 3 houses unless,
It's mostly for conservation purposes because it abuts an area that the state has designated as a conservation area.
right.
okay. I'll call for the vote,
Yes.
Yes.
and I'll say yes. 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Okay, the board has received a request from Oxford Ecumenical Council for permission to hold their 40th annual crop walk on Sunday, October 18th at 1 p.m., starting at the Oxford Congregational Church. Registration starts at 12:30 p.m. The walk is open to the public, and they can contact the Oxford Food Shelf at 508-987-1062 if they wish to participate. Both both chiefs are in support of the event, have given their approval.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the crop walk.
Second the motion.
It's been moved in second, call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Okay. Cool. The board has received a request from Doreen Shays for 2 additional yard sales at 15 Church Street. Mrs. Shays has used her 4 days. Her daughter, Melinda Duzo of 330 Main Street, has had 2 yard sales at her residence and has received complaints from tenants at 330 Main Street. Ms. Shays is requesting that Ms. Duzo's 2 remaining yard sales can be held at Ms. Shays' home at 15 Church Street. As you know, exceptions to the 4 sale limit are at the pleasure of the board, so.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
It's been moved in second for discussion. Go right ahead, Mr. Post.
So the deal is Mrs. Shays has had her, she's at her limit, and Melinda Duso hasn't had hers, but she wants to move hers to her property,
To her mother's property.
to her mother's property. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but, you know, we do have some professional yard salers in this time. On Dudley Road, what do they have one, like, is there one there every weekend? And there's like 400 cars parked down that road, but, you know. Does the,
Season's almost over.
yeah, right, does the police have a problem with this location on Church Street? Has there been any accidents or
No, there haven't.
whatever, I guess?
It's big business.
Yes, it is. It's turning into it, it seems.
Nothing else? I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes. 3 in affirmative, 2 absent.
Thank you. The board has received a letter from the Massachusetts Lottery Commission letting us know that they'll be sending an application and agreement to All Towns number 664 at 123 Sutton Ave to sell the Keno to Go product. The board has 21 days to raise any objections to the Lottery Commission's award of this agreement. So if you have anything tonight, I can hear that, or we can take it up at another meeting.
Didn't this already come up once before?
Not in my tenure,
For
but
that location.
123.
That's
Where
the
is-
new Oxford Crossing.
That's a new-
Oh,
Shell
okay,
station.
okay, it's a new set, okay. I was thinking of, the
Everybody
mobile.
wants one.
Yeah,
We
okay.
have some in town already.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, the mobile station there on Sutton Ave, that's, okay, that's why I was confused. Excuse me.
Chairman, just for the record, I'm abstaining from any conversation in regards to this applicant.
Okay. Oh, we don't have to do anything, right?
Yeah, if we
Fine
don't do
with it.
anything, they'll just award
We'll
it.
just go
Right,
forward.
yeah,
Right.
Cool with that.
Okay.
Okay.
On the former Woodward School, I got an update from the executive director at the Housing Authority. She's very excited about reusing the property for elder housing or veterans housing. The authority members are a little bit more on the fence, but they've encouraged her to seek out grants to see if it's possible to reutilize this building. Based on some of the sources of grant funds that we're looking at, it's very likely to be a multi-year endeavor. So just looking to see if you're in support of continuing to explore this and working with the Housing Authority.
Personally, I am. The only question I would say is the structure sound enough, like watertight and stuff like that, that it doesn't get worse in the next few years that they're...
I wouldn't say it's watertight, but I'd say it's been winterized, and the continuing operating costs are going to be minimal because
Okay.
we're not using the structure.
I mean, to me, it's better than tearing it down, so I'm definitely for it, yep. Any other comments? Okay. Yep, continue on.
Okay. You'd asked in the past just to give you an update on our health insurance plans, and we've begun the process for exploring plan design and plan option changes for both our retiree and health insurance for the next year. We'll be looking at some broad options, and we'll be working through those and then taking them to our insurance advisory committee, which is a board that's been set up to interface with our various bargaining units and employee groups. So there'll be more to come in the coming months about what that's going to look like for the next year.
And including that, are you doing it, is the school department involved in this as well?
Yes, they are.
because they make up probably 75% of our health insurance costs in town, so.
Yeah, the superintendent's been participating with me on the management side, and there are designated school employees who sit on the insurance advisory committee. The solid waste committee that we talked about in the past, that's going to be looking at the benefits and costs of centralized trash collection, is getting ready to have their first meeting. I was curious, I don't need an answer tonight, but if there was any member of the board that was interested in serving on that committee, we've got 4 other people that have stepped forward, and I guess it wouldn't hurt to have an odd number.
You want to be on it, Brian?
What's that?
Want to be on the committee?
Me?
Yeah.
I was already going to go to the meetings. I was looking for a board member.
I'd be possibly interested,
All right.
you know, see how the schedule works.
Okay.
Keep me abreast.
Yeah, I'll touch base with you at our next meeting.
Trash man. We'll call you the trash man.
Could go worse.
I bet, all right?
Sorry.
That's okay. That's great. At the Carbuncle building, out at Carbuncle Park, we met with some of the Bay Path staff today, and they're going to help us out with some redesign and rebuild options. What it looks like they're going to do is they're going to take some of their students and divide them up into teams and sort of do a design competition and come back later in the fall or early winter with some different proposals that we can look at. Originally, we were thinking that this could take the place of one of their house projects in the coming, the next year. When they looked at what we had today, they kind of said, well, that's not enough to be a house project. So they're still willing to offer some support, but we sort of need to make the project a little bit bigger and more complex in order to get in the house program. So it's touch and go on how much they'll be able to help us with the build. Some reminders and announcements. Oxford bulk item drop-off. It's that time of year again. All households are limited to 2 loads only. If you're north of Charlton Street and Sutton Ave, it's Saturday, October 31st. If you're south of Charlton Street and at Sutton Ave, the date is Saturday, November 7th. If you have any questions, please contact the DPW at 987-6006. Another reminder, trick-or-treating is coming up. It'll be held on Halloween night, Saturday, October 31st, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in accordance with the board's policy. Another reminder, the last day of voter registration is this Friday, October 9th, 2015. The clerk's office will be open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the last reminder is October special town meeting is coming up, October 21st at 7 p.m. at the Oxford High School.
Very good. Thank you very much. Selectman Bowles.
Welcome.
You guys want to move trick or treat?
Yeah, we were. Didn't we move it?
I've been through that. Did you ever explain to the manager why we do this?
John won't make it through another
I'm
time.
just kidding. Just kidding. I want to be on the news.
I heard some of the story.
Yes, that's very,
It's the most important thing going in town.
It's amazing what people think is important.
yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, that was a very important
It
issue.
was.
I wasn't on the board then for
It
the record.
was.
Well, I've had quite a bit of time with the town manager the past couple of days, so I don't have a heck of a lot of things to talk about. The CPA, we have that coming up.
We do.
And basically that's, can you just talk about that briefly, as far as what that is and what the match is going to be currently and what effect that have on the average taxpayer?
Sure. So the Community Preservation Act is a program whereby the town can decide to levy a surcharge on local property taxes between 1% and 3%. The proposal going before this town meeting is for a 1.5% surcharge, which to your average residential taxpayer would have an annual impact of $27. Now, included in the calculation that gets us to $27 is exemptions on all residences for the first $100,000 of valuation. There's an additional exemption for low to moderate income households and low to moderate income seniors of the entire value. So these funds, will get levied. They can be used to make recreation improvements, historic preservation improvements, affordable housing improvements, and those are the 3 broad categories. And you're required to take 10% of your levy each year and set it aside to be used for those purposes. And then you're also required to set up a Community Preservation Act committee to decide how the rest of the money is going to be used. And they have to make a recommendation for how that money gets used to town meeting. Then town meeting ultimately gets to decide, you know, whether or not that's going to be how the money gets used. The previous year, the CPA funds that were levied brought in a 50% match from the state. This year it's a 33% match, so it varies from year to year,
33.
depending on, you know, how much the what other problems the legislature or the governor are having. There was an event held recently with the governor and some of the legislative delegation, and they were very much supporting the CPA. So I think it's going to be, what the match will be a year-to-year discussion. And there is also built into the act a 5-year rescission vote. So if this gets adopted, it has to be voted favorably at town meeting, then it has to pass the ballot in May. So it would run for 5 years, and after 5 years it would have to go back on the town meeting to see if the voters wanted to continue doing this.
What's the 10% on the levy? What's that come to?
So with the 1.5%, I think we're in the ballpark of about $250,000. So it would be $25,000 to each of those categories that you'd have to set aside.
And that would be done every year?
That would be done every year. It just gets set aside. You don't necessarily have to spend it. So you could let it accumulate until you had something worthwhile that you wanted to do with that category.
Now, you know that this came up once before,
I
a
did.
number of years ago, and the town meeting voted against it.
Yes.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm still undecided on this. I was against it before, and I'm still not convinced to go for it yet. And I guess it all boils down to the fact that what you're doing is you're putting a surcharge on the property owners in the community. And once you start earmarking, and that's what you're doing, you're earmarking funds for a specific purpose or purposes. And I think when you start doing that, you're opening up the door to put surcharges on property taxes for other things. It could be sports in the schools, it could be whatever you want. So is this opening a Pandora's box? I don't know. And the other thing that it does is it's the affordable housing end of it. If my memory serves me correctly, I think that was the biggest bone of contention at the town meeting the last time this came up. It was the housing issue. And we had people that were interested in putting up some rental properties to get a break, okay, that would have taxed our schools. I mean, they were talking large number of low income, moderate income housing, which would have really hurt us.
Sure.
Okay, but now it's different times. So, you know, the economy is different than it was back then.
Yeah.
But the housing issue was the problem at that time. the
Yeah,
biggest problem.
and I understand that the housing was an issue at that time, and I also believe that, you know, some of the people that were involved in advocating for it last time, you know, had an agenda to want to acquire a large amount of open space. And this time around, I don't feel as either of those are the emphasis
Yeah.
for which, you know, that doesn't really align with our needs right now. The Housing Authority would be able to have a member represented on the CPC committee that decides how these funds get voted. And I know the Council on Aging has come out very much in support of creating affordable housing opportunities for the seniors that are on fixed incomes in town. So I think that's an opportunity to provide some relief for our local residents. I don't think, you know, the Housing Authority necessarily wants to bring in low to moderate income families from outside the community or use those funds that way. And that's certainly not my intention.
But private contractors could.
But private contractors could, but they've got to, you know, they're not entitled to the money. The town still has to decide how the money gets used. So I hear your concern. I know that the last time it went to town meeting, it lost by 2 votes. I think it was a significant factor that the Finance Committee did not recommend it at a town meeting last time, and this time they are going to recommend it.
Like I say, the
Yeah,
economy's
the
different,
economy's different.
and you know, you might be pleasantly surprised when you get to town.
I think if we hadn't been giving away all the UGGA money for the past 7 years, we wouldn't be needing to have this conversation.
Right.
But I view being able to get this money in place and getting the match from the state as taking some pressure off the conversation between the school and the town as to how those other monies are going to get divvied up.
Because we can use this for, with any projects we really see fit, as
Right.
far as remodeling in the town
OCC,
hall
right.
or whatever buildings that we have, yeah, right, the community center
Right.
has needs, so, you know, and like you said, Brian, this is up for review after 5 years, so if it was voted in, we could take another look at it in 5 years, and, you know, the legislator could do that and say, hey, you know what?
Right.
This isn't working out for us, and certainly if the match drops to, you know, 33% is pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, and in reality, what we're gonna do with that money is we're going to put that towards, a need that we have in town.
Right.
You know, it's not gonna be something that's gonna,
It's not
just be-
something that's going to
just-
go to fluff.
it's just not gonna be tossed away, so, hey, the voters, I guess, will decide, right? It's ultimately, that's the way it works. I appreciate that. Now, will you be doing when is your next, you doing something with Oxford Access
Yeah,
on this particular article?
I did
or-
a specific show, I think, around the beginning of September, and that ran throughout September. And I'm doing another show this Thursday, and I'm going to touch on it again. It won't be as in-depth as the first one,
Yes.
but that first one's still available. And then also the person who presented to you from that CPA organization in the spring will be at town meeting if we need to have questions
Answer
fielded.
questions.
Yeah.
Right. As you meet the manager, has that been airing on Oxford Access? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it started, I think, in July.
Did it really?
I don't know if it's still up there or not. But
Man, every time I turn it on, I haven't seen it. I've like looked like
It goes back to the old story.
every
How do you know
morning I
when
turn it
you-
on, I'm like,
you know?
it's not there. I don't know. I guess I'll call Tony, have him put it back up.
Tony. Okay, excellent. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Selectman Sad.
Thank you. A couple of things. First of all, this one pertains to the water company. I noticed that this past week, we had a water main break on Rossin Avenue behind the highway department. This particular area, I can't tell you how many times that main has broken in that exact area. I really think that we ought to find out from them why this is happening. You know, they do a fix, and before you know it, 6, 7 months down the road, there's another break. And they have to close the road to repair it. R.H. White was there all day. We had a cruiser out there blocking the road this week so that cars couldn't go through. I just feel that they ought to give us some kind of an explanation as to what the recurring problem is. It's not just a one-time deal. This has happened a number of times, and I'm sure that the highway department can give you how many times it has happened over the past year or 2 years. It just happens all the time. So if we could get a response from Aquarian, and if it is a continuing problem, what are they gonna do to rectify it so it doesn't happen again? The only other thing I have is, we have had our clerk has been handling this. The annual town report, if you recall, this year was the first time we had pictures that a resident had taken, and we used that to put on the cover and the back cover of our annual report. And it was the French River this year. And those pictures were great. We had a lot of positive comments. So Karen has contacted the school department, I think it was last spring, and to have a contest, kids to submit, or anybody can submit.
Anybody in Oxford.
Anybody in Oxford can submit photos that they take, send them to the selectman's office, and then we can review them and decide what we want to put on the cover and back cover of the town report. So I just wanted to do it as a public announcement so people know that
Good idea.
it's out there. I don't, it's been on our webpage at all?
Yeah,
It
put
has?
everything out, yeah, but, still waiting.
But it would be good, because we're getting, you know, before you know it, we'll be going to print again. We're going into the
Before you know
budget season pretty soon, and right after that, it's town meeting time again. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Well, I have one announcement. If people don't know, through the Lions Club and with the cooperation of the town and some of the departments in the town, we're trying to run a holiday light parade on December 3rd. The board voted on this a few weeks ago to allow this to happen. And I've been told that next Monday at 6:30, right here in the town hall, they're going to have a meeting for anybody that might be interested in helping out or participating with a float. This is opened up to local residents, neighborhoods, businesses. It's just a fun event to celebrate the holidays, and it's on the same day as the tree lighting at the Joslin. So we're trying to enhance that. That's the intent of the parade. So, you could have a vehicle with, put some lights on it and Christmas music or whatever, however you want to do it. But applications are available. If you could either contact the Selectmen's office and we can forward that information, or, please contact the Lions Club. That's another way of getting that information. We are having a set-off date of the second week in November, I think. If we don't get enough people participating, it won't happen. So I was just asked to announce that, so I've done that. So again, next Monday, 6:30 here in the town hall, or please seek out an application. And that's all I have. And with that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
As we move to second, call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll say yes, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.